You are the master of your fate. Let's begin.
Let's stop lying to ourselves. When most people say, I just don't know what to do, they're not being honest. What they really mean is, I don't want to be wrong. I don't want to be judged. I don't want to make a move and feel exposed. I've heard it 1,000 times. Smart people, creative people, capable people. They'll sit in front of a dozen opportunities and still say, I need more clarity. No, you don't. You need courage. Because the truth is, you're not stuck because you don't have answers. You're stuck because you're afraid to pick one. And I'm not judging you for it. I've done it myself. But I want to break something open right now. Confusion is often the story your fear tells you to delay progress. It's dressed up in thoughtful language. I'm exploring all my options. I'm still figuring things out. I'm not quite ready to commit. But here's what's really happening. Your gut knows the move. Your mind knows the next step. You just don't want to deal with the friction that comes with motion. You know how I can tell. Because when it's something you're not scared of, you move without hesitation. If someone offers you a free trip, you don't say, let me meditate on that. You pack your bag. But the moment something feels big, like it might expose you, stretch you, or cost you comfort, that's when you get confused. Let me give you an example. There's a man with 3 business ideas. He's talked about them for 2 years. They're all viable, all aligned. He even has the money. But instead of starting, he keeps researching. I'm just not sure which one is meant to be. I need to weigh the pros and cons. It's about timing, you know. And so nothing moves. Not because he's not ready, but because he's trying to guarantee a perfect outcome before he takes the first step. But here's the truth. You don't get to skip risk. You just get to choose where you stop delaying. So I'm going to challenge you right now. Think of the thing you've been calling unclear. That project, that move, that conversation, that habit. And ask yourself, am I really confused? Or am I just protecting myself from possible discomfort? Because once you're honest about that, everything changes. Next, let's break down that discomfort and expose it for what it really is. Fear dressed up as indecision. Let's go deeper. You've said the words, I just don't know what to do. But when we peel back the layers, that phrase isn't about logic. It's about fear. Fear of being wrong. Fear of wasting time. Fear of what people might say if you fail, or even if you succeed. That's why indecision feels heavy. Not because you have too few options, but because you've made fear the filter for all of them. What if I choose wrong? What if this doesn't work out? What if people see me try and watch me fall? And so instead of taking a step, you stall. Instead of moving forward, you spin. And your energy, the very fuel that could build momentum, gets drained by the illusion of needing more certainty. Let me show you what I mean. There's a young woman, let's call her Maya. She's been offered 2 job paths. 1, a safe corporate role with good pay and a clear ladder. 2, a smaller company where she'd lead creative strategy, take risks, grow faster but no guarantees. She says, I'm still deciding. I don't know which is right. But deep down she already knows. She knows which one excites her, challenges her, scares her just enough to mean something. But she keeps saying she's unsure, because what she's really afraid of is, what if I choose the bold path and I'm not good enough? So she tells people she's thinking about it. But she's not thinking, she's stalling. And listen, I'm not judging Maya. I've been her, you've been her. We've all stood on the edge of the leap and said, maybe I'll just wait a little longer. But waiting doesn't remove fear. It just robs you of the time you could have been building confidence. You think fear goes away before you move. It doesn't. Fear leaves in motion, not before. So here's your truth. If you're stuck in indecision, you're not lost. You're just letting fear write your strategy. And fear is a terrible writer. It only has one plot. Play it safe, shrink the vision, and stay exactly where you are. But that's not your story, not anymore. Next, I'll show you the truth about clarity and why it doesn't show up before the leap, only after you move. Let me dismantle a myth that's keeping far too many people stuck. Clarity is not a lightning bolt. It's a byproduct. Most people sit around waiting for the right feeling, that magical burst of certainty that says, yes, this is the one, this is the move. But here's what I've learned from my own life, and from every great mind I ever studied. Clarity grows after commitment, not before. You want to feel certain first. You want to know it'll work. You want a guarantee before you take the first step. But life doesn't work that way, and neither does growth. Let me give you a picture. Imagine you're driving a car at night through thick fog. You can only see 30 feet ahead. That's it. But what happens as you move? You see the next 30 feet, and then the next, and then the next. You don't get the full view at once, but you only get any view if you keep moving. It's the same with decisions. You don't know how the business will go until you build the offer. You don't know what kind of leader you'll be until you accept the role. You don't know if it's your calling until you commit to giving it a season. The path only reveals itself to the feet that walk. Let me give you an example. Jason wanted to launch an online coaching business. He had the credentials, the experience, the passion, but he kept saying, "I'm just not clear yet on my niche. I don't want to build the wrong thing." So he waited and researched and listened to more podcasts and read more books. Then finally he just launched. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. And within 2 weeks, he realized something that no book could have told him. His true strength was helping people with time structure, not life vision. That clarity didn't come before the launch. It came through the process. And suddenly, what felt foggy became focused. Why? Because he moved. So if you've been sitting on the sidelines waiting for the light bulb to go off, let me be your clarity right now. You're not going to feel 100% ready. You're going to feel uncertain, and then you're going to move anyway. And that's where the real answers are hiding. Next, let's talk about the trap of endless options and why weighing choices becomes a prison if you're not careful. Let me tell you a lie that sounds intelligent. I'm just giving myself time to weigh all the options. Sounds reasonable, right? Sounds responsible. Sounds like the words of someone who's being careful. But here's what I've learned. For most people, weighing options is code for stalling. It's dressed up in logic, but driven by fear. You say you're thinking deeply, but really you're circling. You say you're being strategic, but really you're postponing commitment because you don't want to feel regret. Let me put it plainly. You're not trying to pick the best option. You're trying to avoid being blamed for choosing wrong. So you stay in limbo, not deciding, not building, not failing, but not winning either. And guess what limbo creates? Nothing. No lessons, no momentum, no confidence, just more options and more overthinking. Let me give you a visual. Imagine you're standing in a building that's on fire. There are 3 exits in front of you. You're not sure which one leads to safety, so you stand there, trying to calculate the odds. But the longer you think, the hotter it gets. Eventually, the safest option becomes any door that gets you moving. That's how life works too. The goal isn't always to choose perfectly. The goal is to move and adjust with more information as you go. Because guess what? Every option looks good from a distance, but only one becomes your path, the one you walk. Here's the truth. The perfect path doesn't exist. The best decision isn't always obvious, but deciding is what makes progress possible. So if you've been considering your options for too long, it's time to admit that you're not gathering insight anymore. You're hiding from action. And the most powerful thing you can do next, pick one and move. Let clarity meet you on the path, because movement gives feedback, stalling gives doubt, and your momentum is waiting on one thing, your decision, not your perfection. Next, now let's flip the fear and talk about what really happens when you keep waiting instead of acting. Fear makes you believe that action is dangerous, but the most dangerous thing you can do is nothing. Most people don't fail from trying. They fail from hesitating, from overthinking, from watching the window of opportunity open and doing nothing while it quietly closes. They think they're playing it safe, but what they're really doing is slowly surrendering their future, one indecision at a time. Let me give you an example. Tanya wanted to pitch her creative services to a company she admired. She had the work, the skill, the fire, but she told herself, "I need to polish my portfolio a little more. I'm not sure if they're even looking right now. Maybe I'll reach out next month." Next month came. Someone else reached out, got the job, made the connection, launched a whole new career from the exact idea Tanya sat on. And you know what happened to her? Nothing. Not because she wasn't ready, not because she wasn't good enough, but because she delayed herself right out of the moment. That's the real cost of inaction. Doors that don't stay open forever. Confidence that starts to erode. Dreams that turn into regrets. And momentum you'll have to fight even harder to rebuild later. You keep telling yourself you're waiting for the right time, but time is not neutral. Time rewards those who move. It forgets those who hesitate. Let me put it to you like this. Fear says, if you act, you might fail. Wisdom says, if you don't act, you'll definitely stay stuck. So what do you really have to lose? Another year in the same place. Another week of replaying the same scenarios in your mind. Another month watching other people move, while you shrink your vision to feel safe. Here's the truth. You don't need more time. You need a decision. And that decision needs to happen before you feel ready, because ready is a myth. You won't feel confident until you act. You won't feel clear until you're in motion. You won't feel powerful until you do the thing you keep avoiding. And once you do, that fear will disappear, not because it left on its own, but because you finally gave it no say in what happens next. Next, now let's get practical. I'll give you 3 moves to break the loop and get clarity through action, not thought. Let's stop circling. You're not stuck because you're weak. You're stuck because you haven't been taught what to do when you don't feel ready. So here it is. 3 steps. No emotion, just motion. Step 1. Commit to a direction, not a lifetime contract. You're not marrying the decision. You're just starting the engine. The first lie fear tells you is that every move is permanent, that once you pick, you're stuck forever. So you freeze. But hear me. You're allowed to change directions later. You're not allowed to keep pretending you're thinking when you're really just stalling. Pick something. One next step. One door to walk through. Even if it's not perfect, start moving. Clarity doesn't come from hypothetical comparisons. It comes from forward motion. Step 2. Take real action within 48 hours. Momentum hates delay. If you wait too long, the window closes not outside but inside you. The second lie fear tells you is that action can wait, that you need to feel more confident first, that you need to prepare. But action delayed is action denied. The longer you sit on a decision, the heavier it becomes. So whatever you chose in step 1, do something toward it in the next 2 days. Send the email, buy the domain, sign up for the course, tell one trusted person, book the call, open the blank doc and type the title, not for the result, for the proof that you move when it matters. Step 3, reflect after 7 days, not before. Don't analyze a path you haven't walked. Don't rate a move you haven't tested. The third lie fear tells you is that you need to feel right immediately, or you've made a mistake. But all growth has resistance at the beginning. So instead of second-guessing yourself, 5 minutes after you act, set a 7-day rule. Give the action a full week before you make changes, pivot, or quit. In those 7 days, ask, what did I learn? What fear showed up strongest? Did I lose momentum or just lose approval? What do I now know that I didn't before? That's how momentum builds, through cycles of commit, act, reflect, over and over, until you've replaced hesitation with confidence. Here's what this whole thing comes down to. Don't think harder, decide faster, move sooner, reflect longer. If you can master that rhythm, indecision won't be part of your life anymore. Because confidence isn't magic, it's memory. And the more memories you build of doing the thing anyway, the less control fear ever has again. Next, let's close this out with one final shift, the truth that should change the way you approach every decision from here on. Let me leave you with the most important thing I've learned, the truth that separates those who stay stuck from those who build something real. There is no perfect plan. There is only movement, and movement is what gives the plan meaning. You've been trained to think the opposite, that you need more information, more signs, more time. But the most successful people I ever met, the ones who made something out of nothing, weren't waiting for clarity. They were creating it. They moved even when it felt messy. They decided even when the outcome wasn't guaranteed. They walked even when they were scared. And in that movement, the meaning emerged. That's how confidence is built. That's how purpose is found. That's how momentum starts, not from certainty, but from courage. Let me be absolutely clear. You don't need a guarantee. You don't need more time. You don't need permission. You need to move. Start the business. Have the conversation. Launch the project. Change the schedule. Set the standard. Make the leap. Even if it's not perfect. Even if it's small. Even if it's just the next 30 feet. Because the life you want isn't found at the end of some master plan. It's waiting at the first step you've been avoiding. You say you're stuck. You say you don't know what to do. But that's not true anymore. You do know. And now you move.
Remember, your success begins the moment you decide to act.